But anyways, without further ado, fellas,
Mm.
we witnessed uh generational passing of the baton from Nigel Benn versus Chris Eubank Sr. to their sons dancing. We had Chris Eubank Jr. versus Corner Ben. Take it away.
Cam.
Man, like I said in our group chat, this is a fight of the year candidate, and it's something about boxing when there is true, genuine beef that just fuels the fight. Like, there was some deep dislike, hatred, disdain for each other, and you saw that. You saw part boxing match, part fight, and it indeed was the fight of the year candidate. I mean, just from the interests of Chris Eubank playing a Tina Turner, uh, then switching it up to the Dre, the Rose, Chris Eubank Senior getting out of the SUV. That was electric. That's when you was like, this is different. Like you felt it through the TV. And let's talk about the fit though. Like he looked very like presidential with the leather strap over coat with the cloth neck. I mean, man, my man is he a true G. But with the fight itself, man, Chris Eubank looking a little bit drained, looking a little wobbly. Conor Ben looking strong and quick. I mean, it really was an amazing fight to watch. I did have Eubank Jr. winning. Um, I wasn't too mad with the scorecard. I just think he kind of eked out some of those rounds. Just it was just the size. I think all the effort Conor Ben had to use to get inside to try to get his stuff off. It was just a little too much, over the 12 rounds. But nothing to be ashamed of. Put on a great fight and sent that man Eubank to the hospital.
Yeah.
Man, instant classic. It got to the point early on. I thought that Conor Ben might land something clean that would stop the show early. He was aggressive early. He was able to get in. It was reckless abandon. Like that's a football term. Reckless abandon, where it's like I'm coming in, I'm coming for blood, I'm going for broke. And that's what we want when we see these matchups. Like no no title on the line. Nothing.
Right.
This was just bragging rights. A lot of money, but no title on the line. We see people in title fights do less to win. So, now a huge amount of respect for Conor Ben. It got to the point where I stopped keeping score. Like I'm not even trying to score these rounds anymore. I'm locked in. I'm like, oh, ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah. The rehydration played a huge part in that in the latter rounds. Um, Conor Ben was well conditioned. He came in at 160. See, I don't buy the I don't buy that I jumped up 2 weight classes, and I alluded to that on Thursday. He fought 2 years at 154. There was some adjustment there. And I think that kind of hints at some other things, at why other things transpired. But um I think he was probably very comfortable at 160. Now, did the power translate? I don't know. Was Eubank just have that strong of a chin? Maybe the power didn't translate because Eubank was definitely looking fatigued and weight drained, but just sheer will, hanging on to sheer will. Like both fighters hurt at points in that fight. Both, I mean, there's times where both of them probably should have went down, and they just, for whatever reason, they didn't. It looked like the wind could have blew them over, and they stayed up. So, just sheer excellency. A moment in history for the sport, like total package as far as performance, and then the hype being matched with the actual in the ring product. Don't get it too often.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah, like just bringing it back to the rehydration clause. Like, I don't know, psychologically, like it was dramatic. The whole lead up from way in, like you guys have talked about the like I think Eubank first stood on the scale. He was like 160.2 or something. And then he stood again and he was even heavier. He was 160.7. And of course, that's when they slapped him with a 500,000 pound, fine in order to get this thing going. I think corner Ben came in at 156 point something. But yeah, he met his weight requirements, and there were antics where he was playing the "Show Me the Money" clip, like Corner Ben was doing that, just trolling, uh, doing psychological, having a fight before the fight with Corner Ben's camp, kind of saying like, you already lost the weigh-in, then you're not ready to fight me. I'm ready. I'm equipped. It's that whole thing. Your dad is not here. You're talking about pain. You're doing all sorts of stuff. You're gonna lose this. So mentally, I kind of switched like my predictions, and I'm like, Conor Ben is gonna win it because of the factor of Chris Eubank showed weakness during those press conferences, talking about the stuff going on in his life. Like, you talk about mentality, right? Talking about his brother, not being buried the right way because he's somewhere in the Middle East. They've not found his body. His body was buried somewhere there. They try to trade. He's taking care of the son. His turmoil with his father. Now he didn't make weight and he's being fined 500,000 pounds. Uh, I don't know how much he was making for that fight. I don't think it's as much. He don't make. I mean, he's not that fighter who's making at least 10. 10 tickets, like 10 million. I don't think he's making 10 million enough. I don't know how much he's making, but that's a lot of money to be fined. So that lead up already told me, golly, all those things just being flogged at you before a main fight. How are you mentally? Because you already felt the first fight, which is getting ready, being prepared, and then leading up to it was just like watching WWE, and you hear the announcer say, "Oh, switch your plan," and then you see his pops leaving the Bentley wearing and then corner Ben wearing the same, but which is brown with the British flag in the back, and I'm like, oh snap! Now I'm imagining Nigel and corner looking at them like, oh snap, pops is here. So that's a new bounce of energy. Now I'm like, okay, now we gotta fight, because really and truly, the reason why these guys went to war because of legacy. Dudes were willing to die there because of their last name. For real, for real. It was not even about the money. It's like, yo, if I lose this, my pops is gonna look at me weak. If he loses this, it's that ego thing where if it's like, where not the father's pressuring the sons. It's the pressure of the sons leaving up to what the fathers did. So they want to make their own or arch their own history in this so-called rivalry that it's been passed on. So I could see why they went hard, but the element that led to a person who's not as replenished as is Chris Eubank Jr. is the presence of his dad. I feel if his dad was not in there would not be a war, because he's lost the bag for not meeting the weight. He's going through his mentality things. I think Conor could have got him out. But anyways, this is here or there. It's just, we're talking about possibility, whatever. But what happened, what we witnessed, was war. It started off boxing. It started off people fighting range. We started off Chris Eubank being, of course, the bigger fighter, trying to figure out this dude's tempo, because we know Conor. We've seen him. We saw he destroyed Algieri. I was today. I can't believe what he did to Algieri, Chris Algieri. Just, he's so explosive. He's in and out so quick. Like he does damage, quick combos, and then he gets out, and then he's away from that range that you think you're gonna find him in. And he did that the first 5 rounds. And I think you guys were texting, or we were texting, and we were like, well, our predictions may not be going the way they think they are. And then we saw Chris Eubank being technical, and then of course the 9th round hit, and then these guys just decided to go and just have a fight. They stopped boxing, and they were just, the whole jab thing went away. They were just body to just close.
That's when you saw I'm like, man, that rehydration clause. I mean, Eubank, I don't know if he can do that again. Like, he did not look good to me early on, just physically. But like you said, the presence of his dad probably did give him an extra boost. And you know what's funny about what you were saying about the mentality? There's a video going around Twitter right now about it was Lewis, Chris Eubank Sr. and Junior. And Junior was asking to fight when he was 13 years old, and Eubank, the dad, was mentioning that the mentality, like you had it easy coming up, and like I don't know if you'll be able to take it. These guys, boxing isn't a great business, and basically Lennox Lewis convinced his dad to allow his son to fight, but that part of that mentality, I think what he was talking about when he first asked in the box was what that was about, like the adversity personally that he was dealing with. That's what his dad said that he did not have enough of to be a really good fighter. So it kind of was a full circle moment for him for the dad to come back, to give him that extra boost and let him know, like, hey, you've been through a lot, but Pop's still here, and our name was on the line. And the Eubanks are 2-0. It's 2-0-1 as far as the Eubanks versus the Benn. So if you're the Benn family, you like, bro, we gotta get our get back at some point. Somewhere, some form of fashion, we gotta get our get back.
Yeah. And just leading on to that whole idea of mentality, we see it in other sports. Like, that's why I salute Chris Eubank Jr. because personally, I'm a senior fan. Not to show my age, I did see Chris's father fighting, and he was one of the most entertaining fighters. If you ever go watch his old clips, watch his post conference, entertaining. He's one of those guys who could speak British English and then speak patois. Like, he could switch it. He's funny. He's hilarious. He's a showman, and he was one of the greatest fighters I'd ever seen as a kid growing up. And he was, I mean, him. His pops is that deal. And it just reminds me of not to the level of like LeBron and his son, but when you have a great father, and then you're trying to follow in his footsteps and you are a junior, that could be heavy for you, especially in a fight. Because we know Nigel Benn surprised the world by beating Chris Eubank. Remember that? Like, Chris Eubank was that guy, and Nigel Benn beat him, and then of course Chris beat Nigel, and they were tied 1-1.
No, it's two. I thought it was 2-0-1.
2-0-1. So
there was a draw. There was a draw.
There was a draw.
So the Benns, like I said, they have not at this point defeated the Eubank family.
Oh wow! I thought it was okay. Then I stand corrected. But Chris Senior is that guy, and seeing how Junior has gone with his career slowly, different style of fighter. He's bigger than his father, I believe. I don't think his father didn't fight in the middle. I think his father was he was a smaller guy, and he's made a name for himself. And I respect it. We've seen Cesar Chavez's son. We've seen all sorts of people's sons come into this boxing thing, and it doesn't pave out. I mean, Floyd Mayweather Jr. did his thing. The juniors are like, it's a very scary thing to have a legend's name, and what he did on Saturday, I want to take Junior out of his name or just call him something else, because man, bro, he etched his name as one of the British legends, not boxing, but in the British world, because the way they sold that arena, put on a show. These two dudes deserve to leave the shadow of their parents, But
yeah, I mean, for a whole nother generation, that's all they know is Junior and Conor. So
that's what made the fight, though, really. But you're right. They raised their name in British boxing history.
Yeah.
But the dads were what makes the fight. They both were introduced on by the announcer to the stadium. So there's a little bit of the legacy, the respect that the British boxing fans, they want to be able to, celebrate those guys and enjoy their seeds go to battle.
Yeah, That's dope, man. Now, if you saw Evander Holyfield's son fighting Tyson's son, bro, that would sell. That's the storyline is just crazy. Or you know, I don't remember what was the biggest fight ever in America in American modern day like boxer. Is it Mayweather Pacquiao? I can't remember the biggest.
Money.
Yeah. So if you had Pacquiao, if he was American, if he was in the States and had a son, bro, that would be crazy. And Mayweather had a son. I mean, it's a beautiful story. It's kind of like the Bronny story to me, but with kind of life and death. Like you
Strap, you got to learn to just enjoy these moments and not try to manufacture.
But that's the thing about being a fan. Being a fan is drawing something that is deeper than two fighters going in there and beating brain cells out of each other. Like there has to be a narrative, And if you watch boxing, there's the story of the heel, the baby face, and the storyline. And in that storyline, there's multiple storylines that you let the fans depict. So that's the game I'm playing right now. But not to hold us on the main card. These guys did show up and show out, and respect to them. I think LT may have put something in the chat, kind of a cryptic rematch suggestion and date. Want to break that here? And if it's true, then we the first to put this out.
Well, during the fight, I think it was about the 6th round, they said there was a rematch clause, and then we won't be the first to put this out, but Turkey is alluded that he wants the rematch in September. So
yeah,
that would be after after Canelo, I guess. Canelo versus Crawford.
It appears. I honestly would like to see these guys take maybe another fight or two and then come back. Conor Benn, nothing to benefit for him to be Chris Eubank, be a little older, a little more damaged. But you can ruin, by the way, how certain performances look. So I know there is a rematch clause, but I just feel like I would enjoy to see these guys maybe take on a bout or two in between, and then running back.
I agree. I mean, this will always be box office if they come back and fight. I mean, they could go. Yeah, you're right.
It's a 2-fight deal, so all terms are already agreed, and the sides are contracted for the rematch.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it's perfect, and I wouldn't want to mess with perfection. But
yeah,
if it happens, I'm going to watch it.
Hey,
yeah, we all gonna watch it.
I mean,